Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to this episode of From Prison to Purpose. My name is Jimmy McGill. I'm the author of the book From Prison to Purpose. I'm a social media influencer. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and I'm also someone who has successfully reentered society from incarceration and found a life worth living. And on today's episode, we are going to talk with Tad Gates. I like to play around with him and call him Thaddeus Reigns. He doesn't really like that, but Tad has been to prison 5 times. He's a former gang member affiliated to a white supremacy gang. He used substances the majority of his life, and today he's trying to live different. And so without any hesitation, Tad, welcome to the show, man.
I appreciate to be here, buddy.
You nervous?
No, not really, man. I've come a long way in life, so I ain't got nothing to be nervous.
Yeah, you're a pretty big old boy. I don't think we're gonna have no trouble.
That's right.
So, what's Tad's story? Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Who is Tad?
Man, I grew up in Newport, Arkansas, and man, ever since I was a kid, man, I wanted to be something. And people chased after dreams that were good. I always thought the good things were being a tough guy and chasing after drugs and women and stuff. That's what intrigued me, and it was a lie, and I spent most of my life trying to advance in that life about, trying to get the most drugs and women and everything that I never learned how to be a man and take care of things I needed to take care of. I thought that I had everything planned out that I wanted. And, God gave me a little girl that inspired me to try to change my life. And I've lost a lot of friends on the way and lost some loved ones to drugs. So trying to get it right, man. So,
yeah, I mean, that's pretty, everything you just said was pretty traumatizing, man. Where do you think that false perception started at? Like you said that, being the tough guy, chasing girls, having drugs was your idea of good things. Where did that come from?
I don't know. When I went to school, I was always getting pat-ons. I was always getting in trouble. I wanted to be the center of attention, wanted to be the tough guy. I wanted to do this and that, and thought that that's what, made me happy at the time. I was focusing all my stuff on bad stuff, and I don't really know. It's just like, that's what made me happy. My thing was in the world, not on God or anything like that. Like, my parents, my grandpa and them, they used to go to church and stuff like that, but I never did try to get into that when I was a kid. I always chased bad things. So, my life was pretty much drugs and girls and stuff until my daughter got a little bit older, and then her mother passed away, and I'm decided to get it right now, and I'm not chasing after those things no more. It's like God just put a switch in my heart and changed it, And I knew he was real, and it had to be nothing but God that changed it, because I knew that ain't what I wanted in life. Now I want something totally different. Like, my heart has done a 360,
Yeah. So where were your parents at when you were growing up?
Oh, my dad was kind of older. He was a car dealer in Newport, but he was like 44. He died when he was 65 when I was 20 years old. I just got out of prison, and I tried to take care of him the year before he died, go by there. And I finally got a job because I just wanted to make him proud. I always was, like the black sheep of the family, and my mom, she worked a lot. So, and he wasn't really around. He was an older guy, he was behind me though. Even when I was doing bad, he always was trying to defend me. Oh, the police is wrong and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So
biggest champion.
Yeah. And, he wasn't a bad guy. I heard he used to be an alcoholic and stuff back in the day, but my dad, he was like an older guy, so he didn't really talk to us or have any emotions. He probably told me he loved me 3 times in my whole life. And the last time he told me he loved me was the day before he died, And so I kind of grew up without love and stuff like that. Like, that's sissy stuff, man. You know what I mean? You don't cry. You don't do none of that,
Yeah. So how old are you when drugs and alcohol first enter into your...
I remember smoking weed with the neighbors when I was 10 years old off a Coke can, and we looked up to those guys because they had the women and they had drugs and stuff like that. And we just
how are you even interested in a woman at 10 years old?
I just was, man. I used to hear my dad talk about women and stuff like that. So that's what I thought that I needed to chase and all the time and have. So
Dad did have an impact on a young Tad's perception.
Yeah, somewhat,
Okay.
He had a good impact too, because he worked all the time, but he didn't really have no heart to hearts. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. He didn't really have the time to invest in you.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's crazy because we just interviewed Brock Walker on the last episode, and he started using at 9 and 10 years old, smoking weed too. That's okay. So you're smoking weed off a Coke can with a neighbor at 10 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Started doing meth. Graduated to meth when I was 13. And I loved it. I loved it so much. I was trying to get my friends to do it.
So where did you get meth at 13?
I always hung out with older people. I didn't really click with guys my age because I don't know what it was. I guess I was a little bit more mature for my age or something, or they thought it was funny or what. But I hung out with older people, and they had some meth, and I was like, "You want to try it?" And I was like, "Heck yeah," because I'm down to do anything. You know what I mean? That's how a kid I was. I was down to do anything.
Anything that impressed them.
Yeah.
If they liked it, you thought that meant they liked you.
Yeah, that too. And I was wondering, well, heck, they're cool. You know what I mean? And if that's what cool people do, I'm gonna do it too. And I've had friends that I introduced meth to when I was a kid that OD'd and died and stuff like that. And I'm like, dang, man, I wonder if I would have never introduced it to them, and stuff like that. So I kind of grew up quick for my age. So.
Okay. So how did you do the meth at 13?
I was smoking it and smoking it on full. And then I graduated to a needle when I was 16 years old. But I had an older friend, me and him used to get into it because he didn't believe in shooting up, but I didn't care about none of that, you know what I'm saying? And I shot up for a couple of years. And when I was 17 or 18, kind of pretty much tried to get my own place when I had my daughter at 17, and trying to sell drugs and stuff like that, man. I thought that's what life was about. It was a good way for me. That's all I ever knew, and then that's what I invested my time in learning about was all that game, nothing else. That really piqued my interest.
Now, where's your mom at during all this time?
She's working and stuff, and I drove her crazy when I was a kid. She used to try to tell me stuff, but I'm a hard-headed individual. You're not going to tell me nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when I was a kid.
Okay. So right now, your drug use starts at 10. Mm-hmm. You get introduced to meth at 13. Start shooting meth at 16.
Yeah.
Dad's older. You're not listening to mom, so there's not any real parental impact. Mm-hmm. Okay. And how old are you when law enforcement comes into play?
Oh, I've gotten in trouble. I went to the juvenile center when I was 13. Kids broke into a house with some girls and kind of vandalizing and stuff. And they come in and arrested us. And so I stayed on juvenile probation at age 13, caught my first felonies. And I had a problem with going to school and everything. So eventually my juvenile parole officer sent me to Compass in Memphis for drugs and stuff like that. Because I had the cops at Newport school I went to searching me and my friend's locker every day because they knew we was trying to sell drugs and stuff like that.
How old were you then?
I was 13 years old.
So how long were you locked up in the juvenile system?
I think I was there 9 months, something like that. 10 months.
9 months as a kid. So do you think that desensitized you for the prison sentences that would later come?
Yeah, I think that because I fit in, you know what I'm saying, there. And it kind of, I felt like
you were comfortable.
I could do it, you know what I mean? Because I was that type of person. And
did you get in any fights in the juvenile?
Oh yeah. Most of them boys was from Memphis, and they don't like no little white dude. And
yeah,
I was I'm hard headed, you know what I mean? I'm not going. So I had a lot of problem with authority and people telling me what I can and can't do. So I've always pretty much stood up for myself, whether I was right or wrong.
So was there any like mistreatment from the staff at the juvenile facility that you were at? I asked that because when I spent from 14 to 16 in the Division of Youth Services in Arkansas.
Yeah.
And staff whooped me regularly.
Oh, yeah. They'd stretch you on out. You get fights, they're smothering you in the ground and stretching your arm back and putting you like in these chokeholds and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're trying to break your arms, Some old boy got his arm broke and everything, and his head put through a chicken wire glass,
By the staff.
Yeah, slammed into it.
It's I don't understand why nobody holds them accountable. Like they just continuously do it and they get away with it.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, because they don't get how that kind of impacts your life. They on authority figures and everything. That's it makes you despise them, really.
Yeah, so. Yeah, it makes you absolutely hate them, right? Like, and I've done a lot of recovery work on me. And so I
Mhm.
can look back and I can see where the seeds were planted in my childhood where law enforcement was the enemy. And it goes all the way back and starts to there's the cops, put your seatbelt on.
Yeah.
And so that plants the seed that, okay, cops are something I need to fear. I need to be scared of them
Oh
because
yeah.
my dad, who's the toughest, most violent man I've ever
Mhm.
witnessed in my life, is telling people to put their seatbelts on because there they are, you know.
Mhm.
And seeds are planted and they grow, and
Yeah.
so I can only imagine how that affected you.
Oh yeah. It's definitely traumatic, but it seemed normal to me and stuff like that in a way, And especially my earlier years going to prison and stuff like that, man, it got to where it was a normalcy seeing somebody get stabbed or police beating you up or whatever, man. You know what I mean? So it's crazy how you get a feeling of that's normal about crazy stuff that happens to you. You see
Abnormal
stuff.
becoming normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you said a while ago that the kids from Memphis didn't like a little white kid.
Hmm.
So were you like, was it racially outnumbered?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and I've had to stand up for other kids, other little white kids, that was in there and that wouldn't stand up for themselves because not everybody was like me, and I felt bad for them. And
So do you think that impacted your feelings and kind of shaped your perception to when you get to prison, you
oh yeah,
clearly become an active gang member
uh-huh.
of a predominant white gang. And so I'm
Yeah,
curious if your childhood experiences influenced that.
oh yeah, totally. I had my mind that we're not the same as them. We take care of our own; they take care of their own, and that's just how it went. In there, I was a gang member from the age 20 to for 10 years. For 18, no, yeah, 18 years old till I was, yeah, 29. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So how old are you when you get out of juvenile?
I think I was 14.
And
Yeah.
then how long did you stay out?
I stayed out for a little bit and got kicked out of school and got my GED. And I don't get it too because I was kind of a smart kid growing up. I made A's and B's and didn't have to study for nothing. And a lot of teachers would tell my parents and say everything. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's so smart, but he's chasing after everything else that is not good for him. And everything. They've even tried bribing me with scholarships before I quit school. Like, hey, we'll get you this art scholarship, if you finish school and stuff like that. But I was like, no, I can do all this on my own. Give me my GED. I don't need school or whatever. And I even went to college for a few months, and then I went to jail. Caught my first set of real felonies at 17, and when I turned 18, went to RPF and then prison shortly after that.
So when you went to prison that first time, you're 18 years old. Were you scared?
No, I'd been to juvenile centers, but I already had my mind played out. If anybody messes with me, I'm just going to take care of my business right there because I already know what the business was. Juvenile done trained me for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, gladiator
Yeah,
preschool.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it's worse than some of the real prisons.
facts. Arkansas DYS. When I
Hmm.
was there from 14 to 16,
Yeah.
and you can take every trip I went to prison, which totaled
Hmm.
6. You can mix them in a pot, and it wouldn't equal 20% of how hard DYS was.
Yeah.
Kids don't have any heart, and they're mean as
Oh,
hell.
yeah.
They don't
Hmm.
care.
Try.
So you get to prison. You're 18 years old. You're not
Hmm.
scared. What's day one like for you?
I'm with a bunch of people that are just like me. Really, it was normal. It was crazy because I see some people that go through a hard time, but I never had any hard time with it. And it was kind of a little relief because I was always on drugs to get locked up and have a break a little bit, you know, even though there were still drugs in there. It was like a relief to get locked up, and that's crazy, man. That's crazy how you get that way. And I was like, man, this ain't nothing. I was like, I can do this. I could do this over and over again if I had to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna get back out there and get this money and women and do whatever. And that's crazy how you think like that, man. And some people have a really hard time with it.
So on your first trip to prison, is that when you became a gang member?
Yeah, I was 19 years old when I got down with white supremacist group. So
In prison. What prison were you in?
I went to Malvern and Riceville, and I've been to Bricky's too.
Okay.
So,
So how did that happen? Did they approach you? Did you approach them?
It was just like a bunch of people that were just like me, old country boys, that stood up for themselves and will stand up for ours, and just didn't care what anybody thought, man. And that's what my perception was, a brotherhood, and I never had that. I had brothers growing up, but I never talked to them. I still don't talk to some of my brothers to this day because I was different than them growing up, man. I always wanted something worse in life, so they didn't have time to mess with me. I was crazy,
Yeah.
So it felt more like I got my brothers there, and how I got in with them, somebody said something about one of my friends. Well, whether you're my friend or not, I'm going to stick up for you. I've been like that my whole life. So I remember slapping this dude of a different color and almost getting into it with the whole pod over one of my friends that was affiliated. And that's when they started looking at me and realized that I wasn't scared of nothing. So I guess they figured it was a good contender for it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So did you ever do any bad things for the gang?
Oh yeah, I've done a lot of things, that I ain't proud of, and everybody in prison's like that, And I've done some things to people I didn't deserve it, I don't think. But you're caught up in that lifestyle, You're gonna take care of yours. That's how it is when you get to prison. It's a survival mode. You're gonna stick with your kind. You're gonna stick with your brothers, And if you're weak, you'll get weeded out, And you don't want to be weak in there. So I guess I was kind of misled by that and the brotherhood in it, because I had brothers, but they weren't actually my brothers, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I felt the love from it that I didn't get from the house, in prison with my brothers.
So did you see any sexual misconduct stuff while you were there?
I seen a bunch of people there doing stuff like that, but you get labeled as that.
Worst thing that could happen in prison.
I feel sorry because it's weak-minded people, man. People get taken advantage of down there, and it's sad, really, because they don't have it in them to stand up for themselves. So
yeah,
but
nobody ever tried you like that.
no.
Would you tell me if they did?
Yeah. You didn't know they've been stabbed.
Okay, all right. Yeah. What about drug use? Did your drug use continue while you were in prison?
Oh yeah, this last time I went to prison was worse than anything, man. I went in weighing 200 pounds, getting out weighing 160.
So crazy. I just heard the same similar story from our other guy. Like the drug use continued. He was talking about people swimming in throw up, physically swimming on K2. But did you see anything like that with K2? Yeah. What's some of the stories? Like, didn't I hear you say one time somebody thought they were riding a motorcycle? Will you tell that story?
One of my friends, he got high on that stuff. And I was like, man, we're about to go ride a motorcycle. I pulled him over to the rack and I jumped on it and I said, man, we got to lean. You can't fall off this motorcycle. Messed up. And he leaned with me like we was riding up. Like, don't wreck us, man. It's crazy, dude. And people dying down there. People dying down there every week off that K2, man. And I remember back.
Why do they keep doing it? Addicted?
It's insanity.
Addiction, man.
It's insanity. It's crazy. And the people that keep going to the hospital and stuff will get out and straight go back to smoking it, knowing that it could kill them. That dude nosedive off the tiers one time when I was there. A guy, they get all butt naked and crazy on that stuff, falling, and people are whooping on them, and it's crazy, man. It's insanity. It's so crazy. And they call it the deuce card when they had to put them on a stretcher because they had to sit down because they're freaking acting crazy, flopping out. Look like it got a demon in them or something.
So how do they get it in there?
A convict will find any ways to do anything. It's just like its own world in there. Especially if you're in a maximum security prisons like I've been to. It ain't like they're going to come take everything from him. If a guy's got life, what do they got to lose?
Leave them alone, yeah. Let them live their life in peace.
Yeah, they might take your life. You come try to take their stuff. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
Most of the lifers that I met in the joint, they did better time than everybody else. Yeah. They were calm. They were comfortable, just trying to make the best of what they got.
Yeah. See, meth is so bad down there right now, though. They got people walking around so paranoid, been up for days, carrying knives with them and stuff like that.
Crazy. Insanity.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy, man.
Because when I left, there was some dope down there, but it wasn't like it is now. Like, the stories I hear now is everybody's all the time.
Oh, yeah. It's bad, man. When I used to go to prison, start going to prison, it was a relief to get off the streets.
Yeah.
And I feel like I get a
vacation
from the insanity I had out there. But now you go back to prison, it's more insane than what it was.
Yeah,
I mean, it's right there. You can't get away from it anywhere nowadays. So,
yeah. And everybody's got it. Every barracks has got it.
Everywhere, man. It's everywhere.
So how much is an 8-ball of ice in the penitentiary?
Oh, you can get it almost cheap as the streets now.
So about $50.
$100 cash out.
$100 cash out, get you an 8-ball.
I guarantee it. You can get anything.
In the penitentiary.
Yeah, you can get anything in there, man.
Except for recovery.
Yeah, except for recovery.
Yeah.
I remember standing up at court this time, man, and telling them, I was like, I've never had a chance to do recovery. Every time y'all send me back to prison, I get out and I'm strung out on dope and can't take care of my family, and my kids are screwed, man. You know, I need to do something with my life, you know. And I know prison wasn't the right thing for me this time. I know I get back in that mode, and that scares me, going back to the old man I used to be, man, because I don't want to be that guy no more. I don't want my kid growing. I could
try not to beat on the table.
I'm sorry. I couldn't imagine my daughter doing meth at 13, man. That breaks my heart to even think about her doing.
But that's how old you were.
Yeah, that breaks my heart to know.
So I want to tell you something, Tad. Something I've learned in recovery is all the demons that you don't face and break, your kids are going to have to. All those curses that you're talking about right now, if you don't break them, your children are going to have to face them.
That's right.
If you don't learn how to, that's a raw dose of that's the realest thing you ate today, dog.
Yeah. That's right. I got to get it right this time, man.
If you don't, your kids are going to battle the same demons that you weren't strong enough to get over.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't recover alone. So, okay, so you're in the joint, you're using drugs, you're an active gang member. Are you rising through the ranks? What's it like in the life of the gang?
I ain't gonna get too much into it. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to toot my own horn. I go hard at everything I do, man. And that's why I'm trying to do this recovery thing, man, because I know everything I've done in life, I've excelled in. So I excelled in that life, and I'm tired of it, man. I'm going to leave that behind me and move on to this recovery thing. And the gang stuff, far as that goes in prison, that's the old me. And it scares me to go back to that guy. You know, I've done a lot of violent things in life and done things that I ain't proud of, that I don't never want my kids to know about and stuff. So,
yeah. So when you get out of prison this last time, what happens?
When I got out of prison this last time, the mother of my kid died 2 weeks before I got out. And, that's what really broke me, man. My daughter telling me, "Daddy, where was you at when I needed you?" You know, and that's when that was my rock bottom right there. You know, nothing could scare me in this world or hurt me more than my daughter tell me that. I've seen people get stabbed, hung themselves, and dead and everything in prison. But the thing, my rock bottom, was my daughter telling me, "Daddy, where was you at when my mom died and I needed you?" So,
how did she die?
OD.
Fentanyl.
I guess they wouldn't really say. You know, she had bad diabetes too, but she wasn't taking care of herself, and they done an autopsy and they would never say. You know, so it was drug related. But
yeah, a lot of drug deaths are underreported in Arkansas.
And what got me, Jimmy, she never done drugs like that growing or anything. And the 1 year she got on that stuff, it killed her. You know, and I had a lot of.
And you were in prison when she started using, or how did that happen? Because you said she wasn't using, and then all of a sudden 1 year she is using, and she dies that year.
Yeah, she got with the old boy and got her on it, man. And she used to down me for it and everything like that. And it made me think, man, I've got to change my life, because you don't realize what you're affecting people seeing you do it and people seeing you go through everything. And they're like, that made me think, man, I wonder if I was the reason why, you know, she started doing it later on. I've never done it with her or anything like that. But
addiction's the only disease that you can have it, and then everybody around you is as sick and as infected as it is impacting them to the degree that it is you.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not even the ones using. They're doing time with you. They're losing with you. Mm-hmm. They're in fear that you're going to lose your life. Like, addiction is an equal opportunity destroyer. It will take you from Yale to jail. It will take you from Park Place Boulevard to a park bench in the boulevard. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it will take you from cufflinks to handcuffs. That's what it does, man. Don't give a damn. Everybody can get it. White, black, short, tall, big, small, no discrimination.
it'll still kill and destroy, man.
Yeah. It's good at it too.
Yeah. And it'll manipulate you and think, well, I can do this and that. And I tried to play that game for a long time, man, thinking, well, if I get tired of this drug, I can move to another one that ain't affecting me bad and try to win the game of it. And you can't win the game. It's unbeatable. It'll tear you down and break you down until you're dead, you know? And that's what it done to the mother of my kid. And I knew right then, man, I've got to get it, because what would I be like? What would my daughter be like if she grew up without a mama and a daddy? They're both dead, you know? She ain't got no chance. So I'm trying to give her a chance and show her that I can do good, man. Because if she ever does fall, she can look back and say, oh, my daddy changed his life and is doing good and is helping people now. And he's been through hell his whole life.
So you don't want her growing up with your bros.
No, I don't want.
You don't want your daughter growing up around the gang life.
No.
It's a hard pill to think about, ain't it, man?
Yeah. I don't want her being with the guy that I used to be, you know. And that scares me.
It should scare you.
Yeah.
It should scare you, because you know how we treated women. And again, any curse you don't break, she's got to face.
Oh, that's right.
That's another tough pill to swallow, man.
Yeah.
So, all right, her mom dies, and you hit this spiritual bottom. You're like, okay, it just hit different when your daughter said those words to you.
Yeah.
And so now you're in recovery.
Yeah.
And so how did you get here? Like, because everybody watching and listening, most of them follow us on Facebook or TikTok, and you know how that is. We got hundreds of thousands of followers, and so it's like they've seen pictures of you. They want to hear the stories of the guys. So how did you end up going from prison to getting here to the recovery house?
Well, I remember going to jail this last time, and I really wanted something different in life, man. I was like, man, I've got to quit doing this. I want something better in life. I'm tired of this now. I'm finally tired of it. I want something better for my daughter. I want something. It ain't just me I got to think about. Because me, I can drag myself through hell and not care about it, you know, self-destruct. But now I've got a purpose in my life that I want now. And I got down on my knees and prayed to God, and I said, God, if you're real, make a way to get me out of here, to get me in recovery, something that's going to work this time for me and my daughter. I said, please, God. I cried out to him. And it's crazy because my parole officer come up there and I talked to him, and he acted like, you know, he was actually for me doing that for once in my life, because I've never had nobody pull for me. I've never had, they always just want to look at me and be like, lock his ass, excuse me. But yeah,
you're good.
Lock him up. You know what I mean? Never had no chance. And when I stood up in court that day and told them everything I told them earlier about, you know, I've never had a chance to do this, they said, you can bond out and go to rehab or whatever. And he dropped my cash on me for the first time. I've never had none of that happen. It had to be God, you know. Then I called a pure counselor and told him, I'm trying to do this, man. I'm trying to do this. I want to do good for my daughter. I want this. I've got to do this. I'm doing this for me too, because I've never had nothing in life, and I want something in life, man. Now I can finally look in the mirror today and know that I got a purpose now. Everything, all the hell that I went through and all the pain that I suffered and stuff wasn't for nothing now. You know,
yeah.
I can help somebody. I feel like I got a purpose now.
Is that what you feel like your purpose is, carrying a message to people who are still on fire in the same flames that you used to be in?
Oh, yeah, because if I can do it, anybody can do it, man.
That's right.
I come from the deep pits of hell on this earth, you know.
Yeah.
It was raining there, you know.
Yeah.
So if I could have a change of heart, anybody could, because anybody that's been locked up with me, I was the first one to try to start some violent stuff or do something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To crash the whole car out.
Yeah. Crash dummy in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm taking them all the way.
Yeah. We going all the way to ISO. Yeah. I get it.
Not care about the consequences.
So what does your life look like right now that you're sober?
I can actually see a light at the end of this tunnel now. Used to, I knew that eventually I was going to die in prison or die somewhere. And thought that my daughter was better off without me, man, that I was better off dead. And now I can finally look in the mirror and be like, man, I'm like, you're going to do this, man. You've got something, you know, that some people that don't have. We made it out of there. And it's our decision if we want to keep going on this road, because we fall back, it might be the last chance we ever get, you know.
Yeah.
This might be the last chance we ever get. That's how I feel about it. So,
yeah. And so has your perception of racial stuff changed since you got in recovery?
I know my higher power says every knee will bow before him. And I don't think there's going to be a skin color on your spirit when you leave here.
Yeah.
People are made different and people are not going to agree about things and people are going to butt heads and stuff like that, and I don't have no problem with anybody right now or anything like that. I've had a change of heart. I just want my daughter to have love and peace in her heart. That's what I want for my life now, love and peace now, instead of violence and anger and
Yeah.
misery, because it's nothing but misery at the end of the day. It might seem exciting at first, but everything boils down to misery. It ain't nothing but misery living that way.
So you're working? You got a job?
Yep, working, welding, and actually got a plan for the future.
What's your plan look like?
It looks like I want to get me a welder and try to hit this pipeline and eventually get enough money. And I want to stay plugged into a church, and I like Link Church. I want to get me some money, come back, and probably move my kids and fiance up here. And she's never given up on me, never done drugs or anything, and seen something in me no girl could ever see, And
Yeah.
she cries every day, man. And that woman right there has been everything to me. She texted me and told me today, I love you. And I'm thank God every day that God's come in my life, because, she said that it's changing her somehow, seeing me do all this.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Recovery reciprocates.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
God will shine through you, man.
Yeah, man. Okay.
They said God will take all the foolish things in this world to shame the wise, I believe that's what he's doing with me, because I believe there's a lot of people that thought I wasn't going to make it, but
yeah. Okay.
I'm going
So is there anything that you would want to leave the viewers with, the listeners? And if you can just look in this camera right here and say whatever you got to say, man.
I know recovery is possible, because if I can do it, anybody can do it, and you got to change the people that you're hanging out with, people, places, and things. And you can't hang out with chickens if you want to soar with eagles. So
that's right, man.
Yeah, that's right. So I've had to change everything about me and the people I was around, because you are who you come around, turn yourself into be. So it is possible. If I can do it, anybody can do it. God, what makes them do it? And I announced that today. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ has done it for me. So
I love it.
That's what I got to say.
I love it, man. Well, thank you for coming on the show. We were glad to have you. And if you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube, the social media, please go do that. Follow and leave in the comments which guy's story you want to hear next. Thanks for tuning in.
You've been listening to From Prison to Purpose with Jimmy McGill. Please subscribe on any of the major podcasting platforms and on YouTube at Prison to Purpose. This podcast is produced by Ty King with American Business Engine and executive producer Jimmy McGill. For more information, visit us at jimmymcgill.org.